Hey everyone, and welcome back to Book Lovers Unite. Today, we are diving into a book that is an absolute game changer if you work with people from different countries. It's The Culture Map by Erin Meyer. We're going to break down some of the biggest ideas from this book. You know, all those invisible rules about how we think, lead, and just get stuff done.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Have you ever sent an email to a coworker in another country and the reply you got back just made no sense? Like you were totally baffled? Or maybe you gave a presentation that killed it in one office, but then it completely bombed in another. If you're nodding your head, you've run smack into a cultural barrier. And trust me, this book is basically your survival guide for the modern global workplace.
All right, let's get right into it with the book's main idea. It's this fantastic analogy. Erin Meyer says we are all like fish. A fish has no idea it's in water, right? Because it's never been anywhere else. Well, we're exactly the same with our own culture. We're so deep in it, we don't even see it. We just think the way we communicate or give feedback or build relationships, that's just the normal way.
And that right there leads us to the book's core premise, which is so simple but so powerful. Common sense is not common. Meyer, who's a professor at INSEAD, points out that our biggest mistake is thinking our common sense is everybody's common sense. But what feels totally obvious and professional to you, well, it might come across as confusing or honestly even kind of rude to someone from a different background.
Now, what I love about this book is that it's not about lazy stereotypes, like all Germans are punctual or something like that. No, the real genius here is understanding that culture is relative. It's not absolute. So a culture might seem super direct compared to one country, but actually pretty indirect when you compare it to another. It all just depends on where you stand on the map.
So how do we actually map all these differences? Well, Meyer gives us 8 different scales to work with. We're going to look at a few of the big ones today, and we'll start with the first one, communication. This is all about how much you need to read between the lines.
Okay, so on one end of the spectrum, you've got what are called low-context cultures. Think of it this way. Good communication is crystal clear, simple, explicit. You say what you mean, and you mean what you say. The responsibility is on the speaker to get their point across. But on the other side, you've got high-context cultures. And here, communication is, well, it's more of an art form. It's layered, it's nuanced, and the listener is expected to read the air to get the real message. In fact, being too direct can actually be seen as a little unsophisticated.
So where do different countries fall on this scale? Well, places like the USA, Australia, and Germany, they're pretty far on the low-context side. But then you have countries like Japan, China, and Korea, classic high-context cultures, where what isn't said can be way more important than what is.
All right, let's move on to the second scale. And this one catches a lot of people by surprise. It's all about evaluating, basically how we give negative feedback. And you might think, oh, direct communicators must give direct feedback, right? Well, it's not that simple.
Believe it or not, a lot of those low-context cultures, like the US, are actually pretty indirect when it comes to negative feedback. They use this thing Meyer calls the feedback sandwich. You've probably seen it. You start with something positive, then you slip in the criticism, the meat, and then you wrap it up with another positive. It's all about softening the blow.
But here's where it gets tricky. The sandwich trap. For someone from a direct feedback culture, say France or the Netherlands, this is just confusing. They might only hear the 2 fluffy buns of praise and completely miss the actual criticism in the middle. And it works the other way too. When a Dutch manager just says, "This report isn't good," their American colleague might feel like they've been punched in the gut, when really, the manager just thinks they're being clear and efficient.
Okay, next up, let's talk about power structures. This third scale is all about leadership. Basically, it measures how big the gap is between a boss and their team.
So you have egalitarian cultures, like in Denmark or Sweden, where the boss is kind of a facilitator, one of the team. It's totally okay to disagree with them, even in a big meeting. Then you have hierarchical cultures, like in Japan or Nigeria, where the boss is the director, status really matters, and you would not publicly challenge your boss. A Danish manager who tries to be one of the guys in Nigeria might actually come across as incompetent, because there, the boss is supposed to have all the answers.
All right, this next one is my absolute favorite analogy from the entire book. It's all about how we build trust professionally, and the metaphor she uses is just perfect. Peaches versus coconuts. So first, let's get the basics down. In some cultures, which we call task-based, think the USA or Germany, trust is all about performance. Your work is excellent, you always deliver on time, so I trust you. Simple.
But in relationship-based cultures, like China or Brazil, trust comes from a personal connection. It's about sharing meals, getting to know each other's families. That's the real foundation for working together.
And this is where the metaphor comes in. People from those task-based places, like the US, are often peaches. They're soft and friendly on the outside, right? Super casual, using first names immediately. But get a little closer and you hit a hard pit. That surface-level friendliness doesn't automatically mean deep trust. Then you have the coconuts, like people from Germany or Russia. They can seem hard and a bit distant on the outside, but if you can crack that tough exterior, they are incredibly warm and fiercely loyal on the inside.
So you can probably guess what happens when these two meet, right? It's a total culture clash. The peach is thinking, wow, why is this person so cold and angry? And at the same time, the coconut is thinking, why is this person being so fake? They're smiling at me and they don't even know me. And the crazy part is, both of them are just doing what's perfectly normal in their own culture for building relationship.
So we've looked at a few of these scales: communication, feedback, trust. What's the big takeaway? What's the ultimate lesson from the culture map?
Here it is. The most crucial point is that culture is not absolute. It is relative. Your job isn't to memorize a bunch of rules for every single country. No way. It's to figure out where you are on the map and then figure out where the person you're talking to is. Are you the one who needs to be more direct in this situation? Or are you the one who needs to maybe read the air a little more? It's all about perspective.
For us, the culture map is an easy 5 out of 5. It's just such a practical, insightful guide. It's packed with real-world stories that will absolutely help you avoid some of those awkward and sometimes really costly mistakes. It's a must-read for pretty much anyone working in a global team today.
And there you have it. That's our quick look at some of the incredible ideas in The Culture Map, brought to you by your friends here at Book Lovers Unite. It really shows how just understanding this idea of relativity can completely change how we all work together. So for our question of the day, we've got to ask, have you ever had one of those peach versus coconut moments? You know, a time when you thought someone was just being rude or standoffish, but then later you realized, oh, it was just a cultural thing. We would love to hear your stories, so drop them in the comments below. And hey, if you found this breakdown useful, please do us a huge favor. Give this video a thumbs up and maybe share it with a coworker who you think would get a lot out of it. And of course, if you want more deep dives into amazing books like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss anything from Book Lovers Unite. Thanks for watching.